The restaurant smelled faintly of roasted garlic and lemon zest. Soft daylight poured through the glass windows, casting golden reflections across half-filled wine glasses and polished silverware. Sitting alone at a small table near the corner, Hannah Clark nervously adjusted the sleeve of her pastel blue dress for what felt like the 100th time. It was supposed to be her first date in 3 years, her first attempt to open her heart again after a long, painful silence. The waiter had already refilled her water glass twice, and each time he offered a polite smile that carried the subtle pity of someone who'd seen many hopeful souls wait too long. The clock read 2:40 p.m. Her date was 35 minutes late. Hannah sighed softly and glanced toward the restaurant's glass doors again, her heart dipping with each stranger who wasn't him. She had met him on Linear. Ethan Rivers, a 38-year-old architect and single father, kind eyes in his profile picture, and messages that made her laugh when she thought she'd forgotten how. They'd spoken every night for 2 weeks, trading jokes, memories, and tentative hopes. Hannah, a children's book illustrator, hadn't expected much when she downloaded the app. But Ethan's warmth had surprised her. He wasn't pushy or overly polished, just genuine. Now, staring at the empty chair across from her, she wondered if she'd been foolish to believe in chance again. Maybe he'd changed his mind. Maybe he'd seen her walking in and decided she wasn't worth his time. That old voice of doubt, the one she thought she'd silenced years ago, whispered again, "You're too much, too broken, too late for love." Her fingers brushed the small silver bracelet on her wrist, the one her late fiancé Tilda copyright mark had given her before the accident that took him away. She'd promised herself she wouldn't live in that shadow forever. Today had been her brave step forward. But now, the silence at her table felt heavier than courage. Just as she started gathering her purse to leave, the door opened, and 2 little girls, maybe 5 or 6, came running in. Identical curls bounced round their cheeks, and both wore yellow sundresses with tiny daisies printed on them. They paused in front of her table, breathing fast, holding each other's hands. One of them smiled shyly and said, "Excuse me, are you Miss Hannah?" Hannah blinked, confused. "Yes, a broken bar I am." The other girl, clutching a pink teddy bear, looked up with big brown eyes and whispered, "My daddy's sorry he's late." At that moment, something shifted inside her. The entire restaurant seemed to fade, replaced by the sight of these 2 tiny, earnest faces. Before she could respond, a tall man appeared in the doorway, slightly out of breath, his shirt sleeves rolled up, his hair tousled like he'd run a marathon to get there. His eyes are those same gentle ones from his profile picture, met hers with a mixture of apology and warmth. "I am so sorry," he said, stepping forward. "The twins' babysitter cancelled last minute, and I didn't want to stand you up." Is negation. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and love that finds you when you least expect it, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. It really helps more people find stories that heal hearts. Ethan knelt beside his daughters, his hands resting gently on their shoulders. "Girls, this is Miss Hannah. Ms. Hannah, these troublemakers are Leela and Sophie." The twins waved enthusiastically. Hannah couldn't help but laugh for something bright and unexpected that broke through her nervous tension. She told him it was fine, that she completely understood. Still, she could see the embarrassment flicker in his expression. "I didn't want to cancel," he admitted quietly. "It's just been a broken bar, a crazy morning." He asked the waiter for a bigger table so the girls could sit too. The 4 of them settled into a booth by the window, and just like that, what should have been an awkward blind date turned into something disarmingly warm. Leela started coloring on the paper napkin with a crayon she'd found in Hannah's purse. She always carried them for her illustration work, and Sophie tried to feed her teddy bear a piece of bread. Ethan smiled sheepishly. "I'm sure this isn't how you pictured our first date." Hannah smiled back. "Actually," she said, "it's kind of perfect." As they talked, the nervous distance between them began to fade. Ethan told her about his life here, how his wife had passed away 3 years ago from an unexpected illness, how he'd tried to balance grief and fatherhood without losing himself. He spoke with quiet honesty, not looking for sympathy but sharing something real. Hannah listened, her heart tightening at the echoes of her own loss. She told him about Mark, about how she'd stopped painting for months afterward because every brush stroke felt like betrayal. The twins, blissfully unaware of the grown-up pain between them, giggled and interrupted now and then, showing Hannah their artwork on napkins and telling stories about their cat named Pickles. Their innocence softened the air like sunlight after rain. When lunch arrived, Hannah helped cut up the girls' pasta while Ethan watched her with a look she almost misread as something gentle, grateful, quietly admiring. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like she was performing politeness or hiding behind grief. She was just a broken bother, present, alive. After lunch, Ethan offered to walk her to her car. The twins trailed behind, swinging hands and humming a made-up tune. Near the parking lot, one of them looked up and asked, "Ms. Hannah, can you come see our cat sometime?" Hannah laughed softly. "Maybe I can." Ethan smiled, and for a moment, they just stood there under the bright afternoon light, neither wanting the moment to end. He promised to text her later, and she believed him not because he said it, but because she felt it. That night, Hannah sat at her desk, staring at a blank page in her sketchbook. Without thinking, she began to draw two little girls in yellow dresses, holding a pink teddy bear, leading a woman with helpful eyes toward something new. For the first time since Mark's passing, her art didn't come from sorrow but from quiet joy. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and Hannah met several more times, sometimes with the twins, sometimes just the two of them. They'd walk through the park, sip coffee on lazy Sundays, share stories of missed dreams and small miracles. Hannah learned that Ethan's kindness wasn't a mask, it was hard-earned, shaped by struggle and love. And Ethan saw in Hannah not a woman broken by loss, but one who'd learned how to keep her heart open even when it hurt. One afternoon, at a small children's art fair, Hannah was setting up a booth to sell her illustrated storybooks. The twins came running again, holding a handmade sign that said, "Miss Hannah's Art Rocks." Ethan followed, carrying flowers and that same soft smile that always made her heart settle. The girls helped arrange her books while Ethan quietly asked, "Do you ever think maybe a broken bar we were all meant to find each other that day?" She looked at him, her eyes warm. "I think so," she said. "Maybe some meetings aren't accidents. Maybe they're gentle reminders that life isn't done surprising us." In the months that followed, Hannah became part of their lives more deeply than she ever expected. She started joining their weekend picnics, bedtime story nights, and birthday breakfasts where the twins insisted she sit right between them. Slowly, the ache of her past began to blur into something softer, a memory replaced by laughter, crayons, and the smell of pancakes. But life, as it often does, tested that fragile happiness. One evening, Ethan got a call from his companion. They were closing the local branch, and he might have to relocate for work. The uncertainty weighed on him. He didn't want to leave the only home the girls had known, but he also needed stability. When he told Hannah, his voice was heavy with guilt. "You didn't sign up for this mess," he said. "Maybe we should slow down." Hannah felt her chest tighten. She'd lost loved ones to something she couldn't control. She didn't want to lose it again, and not to fear. Taking his hand, she said softly, "I didn't fall for convenience, Ethan. I fell for you and those two little hearts who ran into that restaurant." He looked at her then, eyes glassy, and for a long moment, words weren't needed. They found a way to make it work. Ethan took a remote position, and Hannah helped him rebuild his design business from home. Together, they learned that family isn't always something you're born into. Sometimes it's something you walk toward, one small step at a time, led by the laughter of two little girls in yellow dresses. A year later, on a sunny afternoon at the same restaurant where it all began, Hannah sat at the same table. But this time, the seats weren't empty. Ethan sat across from her, the twins between them, coloring happily on napkins again. Then Ethan reached into his pocket, nervous but smiling, and placed a small velvet box on the table. "Hannah," he said softly, "I was late the day we met. But since then, you've been right on time for everything that matters. You turned our chaos into something beautiful. Will you?" Before he could finish, Leela blurted out, "Daddy, Just ask her already." The whole restaurant laughed. Hannah's eyes filled with tears as she whispered yes. The twins cheered so loudly that even the waiter clapped. That day, sunlight streamed through the same windows, but this time, it didn't fall on loneliness, it fell on a promise, a second chance, and a family that had found each other against all odds. If this story touched your heart or reminded you that love can find you even when you stop looking, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal. Let's spread stories that heal and inspire. Negation special request. Tell us in the comments below what's one unexpected meeting that changed your life forever. And as the camera fades on that sunlit table, the laughter, the love, and the twins drawing hearts on napkins, the story leaves one simple truth behind. Sometimes, the most beautiful beginnings come disguised as a small apology and two little voices saying, "My daddy's sorry he's late."